Of all the unexamined assumptions and criteria upon which the world has based the daily life of mankind, the Gregorian calendar is by far the greatest and most profoundly unquestioned instrument of control ever perpetuated upon the people of Earth. The use of this calendar is an artificial way of counting time. There is no logic or scientific relation between the exact length of the year used by the Gregorian calendar to measure and divide a year. Although the calendar for the Mayan, Hindu, Judaic, Islamic, and Chinese people remain today, the Gregorian calendar measures daily affairs.
Well, my understandings of the Gregorian calendar was that it was instituted around the 1500s, somewhere in there, by Pope Gregory. And the idea was behind it to be able to govern specific days primarily for commerce and to look at the world in terms of delivery schedules and trying to organize our civilization in order to be productive. Production is the key to any nation's ability to survive. The problems that we have with it is the days of the calendar are filled with days of celebration, but not to reach into our heart, but to buy something, to consume. We are tax-producing units, and with the Gregorian calendar, the way it's been set up, and because our language is not spiritual, we are constantly looking outside of ourselves for all of the answers.
Our calendar here, for instance, the Gregorian calendar, it's organized from the birth of Jesus, the presumed birth of Jesus. But there is something more profound about it. If you look at the Gregorian calendar, the basic idea is that we revolve around the sun year by year, and it counts the number of revolutions that the earth has made around the sun since this birth of Jesus. And we think, okay, that's the only way, that's a natural way of counting time, that's a good way of counting time. This whole way of basing a calendar on this endlessly, more or less endlessly repeated revolution of the earth around the sun, it fosters a worldview where life is like a constant going on a never-ending carousel or merry-go-round, and life is not going anywhere.
From 1981, when I first encountered the sacred count of days of the Maya called the sacred Solkan, the 260-day cycle, I had a measure from which I began to question where did I get my calendar and where did I learn to tell time from a watch? Because as a woman, I never really trusted the Gregorian calendar. I knew that when I went to see my doctor and he told me when my babies were going to be born, that I knew it wasn't accurate because there is a different timing frequency that is contained in the body of woman, which is our natural timing frequency. The Gregorian calendar is an irregular measure of time. And knowing the Mayan time cycle, I could begin to understand that the current Gregorian calendar that is now the standard for the whole planet was actually an instrument of control. And actually the Gregorian calendar was codified in 1582 by Pope Gregory XIII. And it's very interesting when you begin to think about the fact that we're all living on the Pope's calendar. And so my discovery of the timing frequencies in relationship to the Maya count and the Gregorian calendar was a discovery of our need to return to natural time, to trust our internal timing.
So as we look at time, whether on a calendar or within the cycles of the universe, the cycles of the solar, the lunar, all these different aspects that we actually calculate time with, you know, as indigenous people, we've tried to go in consistency and balance with this. The Gregorian calendar, of course, was developed, I think, partly by religion. Religion was created for the convenience of man to control the populace, to gain power and wealth, and to otherwise control people as how they are affected in their beliefs.